Well, hi guys, Chris here with Armattan again. This is part 2 of the release of the new F1 lineup of quadcopters by Armattan. As you can see, no smoke, no no fancy animations, nothing, just a raw video. Again, this is sort of like how I like to present things to people. I think it's got more of a personal feel to it, and I think you guys can really see up close what we're working on, and you get to hear, you know, a lot of my thoughts and how things went down when we went about working on this stuff. Now, the first video I covered what we've done to improve our acrobatic models, essentially improve the rigidity, the strength. These models are fully warranted now, by the way, from bumper to bumper. If you break any of the carbon fiber on this, top plates, arms, center plate, doesn't matter. This is going to be replaced for free for life, and regardless whether you stole the model from someone or bought it from us, we're not going to ask any questions. It is an unlimited lifetime warranty, and that's where it ends with this. Now, I want to show you something here, again relating to how I wanted this made, how I wanted this done, the sort of the design goals I wanted to have. And one of them was to be able to, have the option to add integration to these models. And so let's have a look. That's just an example here. If I pull this off, if you look in the center there, we've got 36mm distribution board in there with a small pull loop, 5 volts. And that is just one example of integration we could do. Essentially, a plate like this could be turned into a distribution board with ESC soldering pads on each corner, and put you can put a battery connector on there that will be integrated on there if we wanted to, and then more than that as well, because what happens with this type of design is you don't have carbon fiber interference in the middle, so you can start adding headers. You can literally put a flight controller in there if you want to. So all of these things are still in development now. We are going to inform you guys of what we're doing and how we're going to move forward with that sort of thing. But for now, we're going with the carbon fiber version, which will look like this for the acrobatic model. Now, I know that a lot of guys are more excited about the FPV platforms that we've been working on. There's been a lot of rumors going around and whatnot. Well, first off, I hope that this right here, is an indication that we're not trying to, essentially borrow ideas from, other companies or whatnot, but we're really trying to work on something that is unique, that is of our own, that is something that we're hoping, will do very well based on our tests and, I guess our own idea of what is good and what works really well. So this is for that. Now let's start with the little guy. I know a lot of guys have been wanting to see this. This is the F1 4B FPV model. It's been designed by Michel in collaboration as well with other designers who have contributed to, as well as myself, have contributed to the final result here. Very simple frame, 175mm from motor to motor in a almost XCOM fig. Essentially what we did is we got a little bit of angle on the arms to allow have no props, to allow using basically a 4-inch props without view of the camera, of course, on a 175mm platform, which is now the smallest FPV model in our fleet. Over at the front here, we've got camera mount braces, which are very similar again to a competitor's model. In the future, likely we'll implement like a slot going down this across, but not quite decided how we're going to finish this. But at the moment, we've got 3 mounting position on there, and so of course as you go forward, you get more tilt option, which on this we've got tons of tilt options on this, tons of tilt. You go on the front O This would be for guys who are very aggressive pilots, where they'd want their camera cranked right up to about 45 degrees. And then center O will be, in my opinion, you know, the average pilot, something like me. And then at the back there, someone who still basically wants extra protection for his camera. The front, meanwhile, having very little tilt on there, because he's kind of, you know, a pilot like that would typically cruise around, not going very fast, not tilting the model forward too much. So that's one of the frames here, the smallest one we got. This guy weighs, I think, I don't have the numbers right in front of me there. The weights, the dry weights will be published, but it's about 67 grams. And of course, it comes with the LED at the back here. This is again hardly an innovation. I mean, Immersion RC and a bunch of other companies are already doing that. And as somewhat of a novice FPV pilot myself, I can tell how important it is to have something like that on a model. When you're flying with buddies, you know, if you're flying with someone who has different skills level than yourself, it gets very, very hard to keep up with each other and be able to spot each other in the air while flying. Whereas once you had the LED light at the tail of the model, you know, it adds to, it makes it more fun to fly with friends, because you're able to see where they are better, you're able to track each other. And so this is, I think, a feature that any sound frame designer, in terms of, you know, FPV frames for racing, would do well to implement on their frames, because it's, you know, it's almost a necessity by now. I think it's not a necessity, but it's a very, very nice addition. These LEDs are basically connected to a NAS-based flight controller, like the mullet flight controller in there. It's configurable in clean flight. Yeah, so that's that, and these come with the frame. So when you purchase the frame, there's no option to add an LED or anything like that. It's included, and for the time being, we also have a promotion just for the launch for maybe a week or two, where the distribution board will also be included with this. All right, so that's that, and then let's move on to a different model. I think a lot of guys have been really wanting to see what we did with the 5-inch and 6-inch version, so I might as well give you guys a good look now. It looks like this. Have a good look all around here. I'm sure everyone wants to have a good look at this guy. Alright, so let's put this aside now. Let's go back to our arms here. I showed you earlier is the Acro platform that looked like this. And then, you know, when we looked at how we would go about making an X config into a FPV platform, obviously we need to bring something up forward here, or at least, or higher up. Either way, there's essentially not that many options. You either bring your cam up and tilt it so that you won't have props in view when you're moving forward, or you need to make that platform longer at the front here. Now these are design parameters that, you know, I think a lot of designers who will want to go ahead and have an X config will face. This is not something that could be considered like, you know, intellectual property or any kind of you know, innovation. It's simply a design limitation, where if you want to have a camera on there and not see your props, you're going to have to figure something out, because this is not a quad H. The arms are not moved backward like this out of view of the camera, like as you would see on a H style design. So from there you have options. You can use 10 plates like some companies do on each side of this and stretch them out forward. You can use one plate if you wanted to, stretch it out forward. Essentially, you'd like to have something on top of there to protect your electronics. Again, hardly anything innovative, just a design limitation where you're just not going to throw your electronics on there and then wish you're going to be lucky when you crash not to destroy anything. You need to add some kind of protection on there for your equipment. And my idea about something that would be lifetime warranties meant to race is that these models that use a 2mm plate sticking out the front, they're going to be very hard to warranty, because when you hit the ground with them, the way these guys raise them with 5-inch bullnose props and like high kV motors, it's not forgiving. If you hit a tree head on, it's going to be difficult to go home without having something cracked or something broken. So I wanted to go with something thicker, and this is basically, now let me move that away, and we went with something like this. Basically put little tails on the arms, what we did. It's a very simple design, really. There's nothing all that complicated about this. There's nothing all that ingenious about it. It's basically wanting to retain full thickness platform all the way to the front and back in order to have more strength here, and in my opinion, in order to be able to offer a platform like this as a lifetime warranty quad, because I wouldn't feel comfortable with anything less than at least 3mm at the front here to keep that all nice and tight. Another design goal we had is cross compatibility. So what you're looking at here is the 5-inch version. It's a perfect X, whereas the 6-inch version, if we wanted to retain the same center plates, which may at some point be turned into an integrated plate, and if we wanted to retain the same top plate, we basically, what we did is we went and tweaked it a bit. Actually, this is the 6-inch here. Actually, now that I look at it now, I can see the differences on the edges here. They're not exactly perfect. All right, you can see that the arms are essentially out a little bit in order to provide clearance for the props on this. Right, and then again on the model like this, it's all cross compatible. Just stick that on there. So essentially, someone who bought a, who built one of these models, you could just buy 4 arms like these, and then you'd have an acro model. Or then you buy an acro model, and then you buy yourself 4 arms like these, and you got yourself a FPV platform. And then between the 5-inch and the 6-inch version, we're using the same top plate, this plate here. We're using the same cam brace, the same Mobius plate on both the 5-inch and the 6-inch version. So it's easy to go back and forth. And then of course, one of the design limitations that I impose on this project myself is, of course, we thought about going with a full plate instead. Since we're already going with 3mm here, right? 4mm, sorry. It's been suggested that if we went with just a single one plate design, you would save, probably would be able to save on hardware, because we wouldn't need as much, as much hardware to secure this thing together. And I do agree with that, but at the same time, I can't, it's just, I guess this is when it comes down to aesthetics, and I prefer this like this myself. I like the idea of having that sort of separated section in the middle there, and cutting out as much as we can out of there to cut the weight down. And of course, on a manufacturer point of view, if someone was to crash that real hard and break an arm, well, then it's a lot easier for us to send you one arm. It's also a lot easier for you to repair it. If you can just pop one arm on there, pop 3 screws, move your arm out, stick your new arm on there, and bolt that down, and you can get that done, next to the racetrack in about 5-6 minutes if you got the tools on hand. Whereas if you got to replace the whole plate, you're out. Like, you're going to need way more than 5 minutes to rebuild your model. So I prefer to do this that way myself. And likewise with the plate itself, going from here to there, because if you crash and you damage your main plate, if you're using a 2mm plate sandwiched on this, like I'm sure many other manufacturers will have already done, for example with mini H quads, then if you break that plate, you're done. You're looking at a complete rebuild. Whereas with this, if you fracture this or this, it's a matter of changing one arm really quickly and sticking it back in there, and you're back in the game, you're back flying. And the beauty about this is that it won't cost you anything, because again, these things are fully covered, lifetime warranty. So this is very nice, something that I'm quite happy about, and that I'm going to be very serious about holding these ideas as not closed source. They're open source. Guys are totally allowed to use any of these files that you see here. We can send the files, you can modify this, you can make it the way you like it. This stuff's all open source, but the point is that they are original IDs in the very, very vast majority of the work that we've done here. So I'm going to give you one last look here. Let's no Mobius plate installed. Let's look at this. We've got the 6-inch here. We've got the 5-inch on top. And as you can see, all the parts are cross compatible. I should put them in the same direction here. All the parts are cross compatible throughout these two models, except the 2 arms. And of course the little guy here, 175 millimeter motor to motor F14B. So let's have a good look at that for you guys. A good look at this. All right, now a few more things I want to address before I end this very long video. This is actually part 2 videos of releasing this. Is that talk about pricing a little bit about these. I think that what we've done with this, with the cross compatibility parts, and they being able to use the same center plates on not 1, not 2 models, but a total of 5 models between the acrobatic models and FPV models. We're using all cross-compatible parts. This is allowing us to basically get these things produced at a lower cost, as well as the side plates here and the LEDs that are cross-compatible with all these models. It's enabling us to I think, you know, maybe be quite competitive on prices. I think people will be generally happy with the prices we got on this, given the warranty and also given the support that we give, because, you know, I think a lot of time value when it comes to buying quadcopter frames from manufacturers is, you know, parts availability and, you know, long-term support. And so this is something that is definitely not going to be a problem with us. We're actually just going to put a plug in here for our new ventures called armattanproductions.com, and where basically you can do modifications to any of these models, and many more options there for guys who want to, you know, have their own projects and include their own ideas and formulas and how they'd like any of these models to be designed and made. The options are there. Forgot to mention that all our models use aluminum standoffs, anodized aluminum standoffs. We've used nylon in the past, but we find that in a very hard crash with models that use tabs like this, the nylon parts will tend to bend. They've got more bend, they flex more, and then you end up getting more chances of having damages done to your carbon fiber parts. So for anything that uses tabs, as you see these here, as you see the LEDs tabbing in here, we like to use aluminum standoffs. We generally only use nylon standoffs for things like this. Little nylon bolts here to mount flight controllers, or little nylon spacers between electronic equipment for the sake of keeping things insulated. But anytime it's structural, related to the structure of the model, we try to use aluminum because we feel it's more reliable and stronger. What else do I have to say about this? I think that's about it. There's going to be more about this in the coming month or so. There's going to be different things that we want to try to work on, all these models and other projects we've got going on at the moment. So stay tuned for that. final note, I just want to say thank you to everyone for your support. Big special thanks to Michelle, Nat, and Andrew, who worked on these designs with us. It's been a pleasure working with you guys, and it's a pleasure to continue working with you guys. In fact, I think we make a very good team, and I think that there's going to be very exciting things coming in the next year or so for Armattan, as well as our new venture called ArmattanProductions.com. So, any questions, guys? As always, you know where to find us. Don't hesitate to contact us. Any feedback, anything, we'd like to hear about it. All right, guys, thank you very much. Cheers.